Have you done any virtual or non-virtual dating in the context of the pandemic?
Juicy.
Is that a question for me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Have I been dating during the pandemic?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't date.
Are you dating anyone, Virgil?
I don't. Well, I don't.
What do you mean you don't date?
I don't.
What does that
This
mean?
is not a thing that I do.
What does that mean?
What do you do?
Well, I hang out.
Oh boy.
You know, I'm big on hanging out. It's one of my favorite activities.
What's the difference?
I like to think of myself as something of a professional at hanging out. In some ways,
he's the ultimate party boy. He's known as
no, I wouldn't call myself a party boy.
He really
per se.
is.
No. I hang out. And in some ways, that's how I describe my job. I mean, that is what being a professional podcaster is someone who's very good at hanging out. Strangers develop a parasocial relationship with you. They imagine that they're your close friend because they listen to you talk to other people every week who you are friends with. And they have this idea in their head that, these people must be really fun to hang out with. They must be experts at hanging out. And the fact is that's completely true. That's absolutely the case in my experience. I am hanging out at a level that, frankly, 99.9% of humanity is simply not hanging out.
But Virgil, aren't you sort of a romantic? Like, I could see, like, don't you, like, ever, like, want to take girls on dates or do sort of, like, big overtures for the sake of romance?
Well, I don't spend a lot of time in self-analysis, but I have been told that I am a romantic.
Oh, you've been told. Is there a context for this?
I've also been told that I'm just a decadent materialist who likes to think he's romantic. So there's competing conceptions of me out there.
What behaviors of yours do you think have led to you being described as romantic? What's the most romantic thing you've ever done?
Yeah, Virgil.
We have a second.
I don't know.
We're asking Virgil, right?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know why that question is posed to me.
I love it.
But I would like to know Rachel's answer. I feel like maybe she's someone who seems more the most sybaritic of the three of us. So
I'm going to ask her next.
She has. Well, I don't know.
She's on
I do not know.
Virgil, you offered yourself up. Two things happened. One, you made a distinction between hanging out and a date. Now, my brain said hanging out seems decidedly less romantic than dating.
Hanging out can be very romantic.
Okay, well, if you're going to say something like that, then I need you to substantiate it. So what is romantic about what you're doing? What's the Virgil magic in these hangouts?
I'm between a lawyer and a hooker poet laureate right now, and it's just kind of ping-ponging through me, and it's like I'm getting the worst.
A lot of men would really love to be in that situation.
They truly would.
Okay, how can I substantiate that? Well, hanging out, think of it as a blank canvas on which you can create structures, narratives, and order and activities out of the disorder. And your only ambition there, and the ambition of everyone that you're hanging out with, assuming they're on your level, is to have a good time. And the clearest way to do that is to make sure the people around you are having a good time, right?
Okay, but that's people there's something, what seems unromantic about it, I guess, to me, is the idea that your attentions are diffuse as opposed to concentrated on the object of your romantic affection.
I mean, that's not necessarily the case. I think that while hanging out, you can develop a very strong focus on another person or persons, as it were. And
you can, but you don't have to. And the idea of there being an outlet valve, like when people say, oh, let's do a group hang, it's usually because they don't want the pressure of it being a date. And there's something that seems non-committal and therefore kind of less romantic about that, because a part of romance is kind of putting yourself on the line and exposing yourself and being vulnerable.
I've got to say those people, that's just a very amateurish view of hanging out. I'm sorry, I don't respect that view of hanging out as a professional.
I mean, I will say, I feel like there's like, it's reminding me of like Tumblr discourse, I want to say, from like maybe 2015, where it was like, you feel the pressure to be the cool girl and just hang out with like the dude, when like really it's like, is this really what I want to do? And like things are too casual with like when I guess Tinder and hookup culture and the online sense or the app sense for started to pop off. So like, yeah, it does sort of like ring little bells for me that are bringing me back to that when Virgil says this.
Yes.
I can't not, but I will say maybe like, I think what Virgil could be describing too is that I do feel like, the ultimate sort of date with someone you love, like, it's great to like go out, and we can't do these things now, so it doesn't really matter, but like, to go out and travel together or do something really wild. But like, honestly, sort of the best thing is like staying up all night, like listening to bad music, getting drunk, like talking deeply, like hanging out kind of is the ultimate and very romantic, though I would say like one-on-one, like deep hangs can be very romantic.
Deep hangs is maybe a good way of putting it.
Means.
Okay. Yeah. I can, say yes to a deep hang. I do think that, in the pantheon of great first dates, they tend to end, in the wee small hours of the morning because you've spent all night up talking. And I understand that perspective entirely. But I do think that there is the possibility that wanting it to be casual and informal and not really knowing if it's a date, an explicitly romantic situation can be a way of saying, I don't want the responsibility of actually having to commit to this. I want to be able to say, oh, I wasn't really even trying to like, I'm not going to admitting that you like the person and you're pursuing them romantically.
You can
like getting to know them. Yeah.
You can get to know someone. You can like someone. You can be vulnerable with someone while hanging out with them.
Of course you can, but you don't have to be. You can always play it off as, oh, we were just at this party together and then she seemed disinterested, so I walked away. When it wasn't a date.
So you're saying that hanging out is just too liberating and that we have to have this firm heteronormative structure to our romantic interaction.
You can go on dates with men as well. That's allowed.
Well, so Brie, you are single now, right? Is that what you said? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're throwing that out there, one. But two, I'm curious, like, what is like sort of your like what kind of dates do you like? Like what does someone have to do to impress you or like show you a good time? Like what's fun for you?
I'm honestly like very, very easy.
We could say like if the pandemic weren't happening.
If the pandemic weren't happening, yeah. If the person's a good conversationalist, I'm very happy with a dinner date. I'm very happy with we're walking around New York and we pick up some tacos from a truck and go sit in the park kind of a date. I'm very happy with the activity date. Activities are always fun, especially if you're like not a great conversationalist. An activity date can really cover up for the fact that there's not a lot of compatibility because you can have fun bowling or skating or at the amusement park or whatever it is that you're doing.
Well, that's the problem now, right? That there's no activity. There's not even dinner. So like on these video dates, it's like very like apparent when you're meeting these people, right?
And there's no candlelight. There's no even like aura of romance to cling on to. Yeah, I mean, I've only done the one. The thing is, though, I don't have I don't know. I like Zooming. I'm not one of those people who just hates to be on the Zoom. I look forward to our recording sessions, Virgil, because again, it's like the only human contact I have outside of the guy who came to fix my toilet the other day. Like I'm not one of those people who is opposed to it. And I love conversations. Obviously, I'm a professional podcaster. I like to talk.
And I'm great to hang out with.
And you are. You're great to hang out with, Virgil. My issue, I think, mostly on dates. I like people who are smart, like rather above an above average sort of way. And that, doesn't mean knowing things. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean knowing things or having like been to a certain amount of school or anything like that. But it means responding to a certain kind of sense of humor and having a kind of basic knowledge of what's going on in the world and kind of picking up what I'm putting down in real time, because I can be a little impatient. I will acknowledge as one of my faults. And I don't always like to repeat myself or explain myself. I like to be understood. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that is challenging to find. Also, I've been accused by my mother of, quote, liking cute boys.
I was gonna say, I imagine it's hard to find someone on your level who can
That's
roll with the
silly.
punches. But now we're throwing it out there. Like, who step up?
This is not a recruiting podcast. I'm not outside my romantic
like the
life.
Bachelorette.
Well, I do have a theory about this. Here's one of my theories. I have to test it this time around. My working theory is that it takes approximately 8 months between relationships before the next relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they always say you're supposed to really be alone and get to know yourself after a breakup. But
I'm 35. I know myself.